Good evening. I'm David Swotek, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. As a whole, the Nebraska Athletic Department killed it this year and is getting quite the recognition for it. The Athletic Department placed 21st in the final 2024 to 2025 Division I Learfield Directors Cup standings. In total, Nebraska scored 830.5 points, marking the best finish since 2010. This is only the fourth time in the past 20 years that the Huskers have scored over 800 points in the all-sport competition. There were 6 other Big Ten teams making it in the top 25, including USC in 2nd, UCLA in 5th, Ohio State in 8th, Michigan in 13th, Penn State in 16th, and Oregon in 18th. One of the big contributors to this award, Nebraska men's basketball, will be facing off against New Mexico in the opening round of the 2025 Hall of Fame Classic. This will only be the second time these two teams have hit the court together, with the last matchup back in the 2009 NIT, where New Mexico claimed the victory 83-71 in Albuquerque. Tip-off is set for November 20th at 6 p.m. And finally, some MLB action tonight. The Detroit Tigers hosted the Athletics and sent them home sad. Detroit wins it 8-0. And also, Seattle headed on east to Minnesota to face off against the Twins. No action through 4 innings, but now is the middle of the 6th, and the Twins are taking some charge, 2-0. And finally, in just a few minutes, about 5 minutes, Atlanta will be facing off against the New York Mets. Timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Coming up next is the first hour of Sports Nightly, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Pianto set first offering. That ball's driven up the middle. Coming around third is Dylan Carey. The throw is offline. The Huskers win it. The Huskers win it. Nebraska will march on.
Wing to the near side. Snap back. Has some time. Steps, throws down the field. The pass is intercepted. Picked off by Sierra Wright to the 30, 25, 20. Sierra down the near sideline. 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Nebraska. Sierra Wright with a pick 6 for Nebraska. And the Huskers have taken the lead on the road.
Rindahl, a couple of ball fakes, bounces into Prince at half court. And Prince is going to make a run on a falter. Steps back for 3 to tie the game. You betcha! Biggest shot of that freshman's young career. Timeout! We're tied at 75. Britt Prince is 19. She steps back and sticks a 3-pointer, her 5th of the night.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Nick Hanley, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome into Sports Nightly, our final show of the week, and in fact, our final show for a while. We will be off the air. We will not be live back on the air for a couple weeks. Well, July 7th officially, and we'll be moving into the new studio. We will have some best of shows here, of course, tomorrow night and then throughout next week. But this is it for us here and in the studio. Nick, it's kind of, I don't know, it was a little bittersweet for me tonight.
I bet. I mean, you've obviously spent a lot more time in there than I have. And I was actually, it was kind of fun to be able to stop by from time to time and do shows in that studio. It was a lot bigger than I thought. When I would watch this show with you and Greg before, I always just thought it was really half of what that studio is, but a very cool setup. And yeah, I mean, this is where you got going with Husker Nation. So I can understand. There's probably some emotions with this. Are you going to do anything special when you leave tonight?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I think I've been like, okay, what do I got to get done? What did I get done? And I'm just now kind of taking it in that this is the last time I'll be sitting behind this mic like this. Like I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm feeling some type of way about it. I grew up in the studio here in Nebraska and not just the covering Nebraska, but radio. I'd never done radio before.
Yeah.
So everything I've known, I will say I am really, really excited about our new setup. So it's going to be sweet. And so that's where the bittersweet comes in, because I am excited about the new digs. And we got a new podcast setup that I'm excited about. So we'll be able to give some different looks and maybe get a couch. I don't know. I guess I got to go couch shopping now. But so well, it's going to be cool. We're excited about it. It's going to be a process. But yeah, it is. It's a little sad, though, that this is the last one here tonight, at least in this form over the next couple of weeks. But lots to get to here tonight. We've got the NBA draft coming up, round 2, starting at 7 o'clock. And I noticed there's some people on Twitter saying that there's some projections that maybe Bryce's name could be called tonight, which we knew that going into it. If it was going to be called, it would have been, here in the second round. But he's been on the bubble a little bit on the fringe, but there's some projections out there now saying that he very well could hear his name called tonight.
Yeah, and I think this makes it a lot more interesting for a lot of Nebraska basketball fans because, as you know, probably more so than a lot of people, it's very unpredictable. And we can use a local example of what a lot of people felt that Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton was going to go in the first round, and yet he did not hear his name on the first night as well. So just when you think you maybe have this thing figured out, other than usually the lottery picks, there's not usually many surprises, maybe just an order. But, I mean, everybody knew Cooper Flagg was going to go number 1. That was as big of a, pun intended, slam dunk as we were going to see. But once you start to get those projections of guys that are late first round, early second, it has such a ripple effect for guys that maybe slide back into the second round. And if they continue to slide, I think this gets a lot more attention with the NFL draft, especially at the quarterback position. And we saw this with Shedeur Sanders this last year. But in the NBA, I mean, you got the 2 rounds. And then after that, it's okay, where are you going to go? Are you going to see some draft and stash type possibilities, which you typically do see in the second round, or at least traditionally you have? But it also, for players like Bryce Williams, it makes it a very, I think, exciting night because as you see maybe some projected first-rounders falling back into the early second or still not hearing their name called, all of a sudden it just seems to, that unpredictability, I think, seems to work in favor like guys like Bryce Williams that were projected, if they were to go in the draft, to be on the back of the second, that all of a sudden maybe you move up a little bit more than what was being talked about or best-case scenario. Usually the best-case scenario has a way at times of getting even better into that second day when we've seen some guys that are projected in the first round fall out of it. And it doesn't seem like it would be that way. But I just think it creates a lot of interest in what we hope would be a night that Bryce Williams has his name called. But even if it's not, we know that there is a lot there where many people who have watched him play and work out feel that this is a guy that could definitely play in the association.
And listen, it continues. That's important. I know people are like, oh, the NBA draft, whatever. But, when you talk about getting guys to come play here and want to be a part of this, that is a lot of times what they're saying. I just did a bunch of interviews today out at men's basketball, and that was brought up, and it continues to be brought up since I've been here about Coach Hoiberg and this coaching staff and how they develop and they can get guys ready for a professional type career, whether that is in the NBA or overseas. There's some guys that can make really, really nice livings playing overseas for a few years. So there's more opportunities than just the NBA, but getting guys put into that on the stage and hearing guys' names in that conversation continues to be important, much like when we talk about the NFL and what Coach Rule does and this football coaching staff and getting guys to the next level. I mean, that's an important aspect to it when you start to sell guys on coming here. There's a lot of things to sell, but a part of that sales pitch is that, hey, we can develop you into the kind of player you need to be able to have a successful professional career, whatever level that might be.
No doubt. And on a day today, and I know we'll get to this later, of celebrating what type of athletic year ahead has been for this Nebraska athletic department, the Pro Big Red part of it is huge. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to being a student athlete at the University of Nebraska. You and I have discussed this many, many times on why, at the very least, you're going to have whatever sport you might be playing. If you're being recruited by Nebraska, you're going to at least have it on your radar. It's going to be in strong consideration because they do treat their student athletes at a very high level. But when you can also complement that overall attraction to be a student athlete there, that there is a pathway into pro sports, and in this situation, NBA. And when we see all those pro Big Red tweets, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball or any other sport, that there's pride that comes to that. And it's amazing how many fans will see those social media posts, or if you're going to a game and you're looking at the video board and you see them showing all of the former players that are currently playing professional football or playing professional basketball or baseball, you always get a reaction out of the crowd as they're in their seats, because it's a sense of pride. And so when you can show that to these prospective student athletes that we do have that pathway into the next level, you can fulfill your ultimate dream of being a professional basketball player by going through this program. And oh yeah, by the way, Fred Hoiberg, yeah, he kind of knows a thing or two about the pro level and about that style of basketball, as well as one of the more highly regarded minds when it comes, especially in basketball offense, that there's a lot of plus to it. We know that there's more to what this program is about than just putting guys into the association, but we also know how big that can be when you're in a recruiting battle with this school or that school, that can sometimes be a deciding factor as well.
All right, well, you just mentioned it, but that was the big news today. We knew it was a possibility when Nebraska finished, and they were in the top 10 at the close of the winter sports season. And so now that the Directors' Cup standings are closed, Nebraska finishing 21 in the top 25 back-to-back years, but the highest finish for this athletics program since 2010. And when you talk about, hey, there's momentum here, that's more of the proof that there's momentum here when you are having multiple teams that add to that collective overall total. Like that is the perfect example of a year, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, strong season for an athletic department when you've got, because it takes all teams. There's a point scale. I've gone through it before, but when you have those teams that add up, when whatever they're doing in the postseason, how deep you go in the postseason, which Nebraska had several of those teams that made the postseason. It just, when it adds up from wire to wire, that is a perfect example of a great season, a great total year for an athletic department. And to me, in talking with coaches, it just feels like even what they did last year for a lot of these programs, hey, we're just going to be better next year. That's what's really exciting about all of this too.
I think it's a standard that has existed for a very long time that, unfortunately, for whatever reason, and I know not every year is created equal, but for whatever reason, that standard was not being met. And this goes back athletic directors. This goes back coaching cycles. It's not just all of a sudden recently in the last couple of years. In fact, Nebraska was in the top 25 last year too. So back-to-back years in the top 25, hat tip right there. And the highest ranking since 2010 of rank of 17. So clearly, if you look at those three moments counting this year, Nebraska's been a little bit more absent from the Learfield Directors' Cup standings. And look, I know to some people it's whatever maybe you have tunnel vision on as far as what sport, you don't care about that. But I think it's very significant from the standpoint of, do you feel that you have the right leaders in place? And when I saw the news and the official number today, that's immediately what I thought of. You think of the athletic director in Troy Dannon. You think about what he took over. And look, I think I would be missing the point a little bit if I didn't say where I think Trev Alberts picked up the athletic department from when Bill Moose decided to retire. I think there were some things that he had to correct. And so I think when he left for Texas A&M, I think he definitely left it in a better spot than where he was when he first came into it from Bill Moose. And that's not saying it was all Bill Moose's fault too. Look, I mean, there's things that maybe you don't realize are going on within the department, or even just from a procedural standpoint, until you get there and then you go through that first month or so, and then you see things that maybe were working well and other things that weren't working well that you have to correct immediately to have that trickle-down effect to see the results that we saw these last couple of years, but especially this year. And that is be able to pass down that leadership and that standard that you are going to hold every coach accountable to, and hopefully those coaches are holding their student athletes accountable for, and that is trying to play every sport at a championship level, but more importantly, doing it the right way, not getting yourself caught up in just the end game of winning by cutting corners and possibly getting people in trouble by doing so. So it's being able to balance that, being competitive at that elite level, but also doing it in a way that is going to allow you to compete for years to come at that level. And I think they're starting to really thread that needle.
Yeah, and also just positioning these programs to be able to compete with some of the other teams in the rev sharing space now.
Yes.
You know, and so when you talk about that leadership and a standard, it's also making sure that we can be competitive in those areas. And I've got full faith that Troy Dannon has done that and will do that. And, you know, to add to that leadership point, and that's been something that Troy has said since he got hired, but just the roster of coaches. So you talk about the overall leader, but then you talk about the leaders of the individual programs. And I emceed an event last night that most of the coaches, the head coaches, were there. And, you know, we had 2 different panels of 5 of the coaches. And, you know, I'm sitting there and it's, you know, Amy Williams, and it's in all different levels, right? I mean, so you got Amy Williams, you got Fred Hoiberg, and then you got Peter Cogill, who's coming off one of the, if not the best season in men's tennis history. This is a young rising star in this profession. And so, you know, and then you have Danny Busboom-Kelly on one panel. And so you've got different, I guess, walks of their careers in these coaches, but all that are really, really great coaches. And I know we say that a lot, but I think it just took me sitting in a room like that, on a panel like that, with all these coaches, Will Bolt. I mean, the list goes on. And just to maybe take a step back and like, okay, there are some really dang good coaches here at Nebraska that are leading these programs that you have to be you know, proud of the way that they've led their programs, but also knowing that they also are going to be set up and be able to lead a program continuing to achieve even higher success in this new era as well.
Yeah, and you know, that makes me think about that relationship between the athletic director and the coaches of, if you're Troy Dannon and he's got enough on his plate in being able to help Nebraska pivot successfully like we know they will when it comes to rev share, that's a full-time job in itself, to put Nebraska in good standing and making sure that compliance is there and everything that goes along with it, so you have that smooth transition to allow Nebraska to be one of the beneficiaries of this new world of college athletics. And so you put your trust into Troy Dannon to be able to do that, and I think like you said, I think we're all very confident that will happen. So he doesn't want to be a micromanager, and I don't think any of these coaches want to work for someone who's a micromanager. So you have to put that trust into these coaches, knowing that at the very least, at the end of the day, that these coaches, that standard and that competitiveness that all of them have, I mean, you see that on a daily basis. You mentioned Will Bolt, one of the guys that I get a chance to interact with the most out of anybody on the athletic department coaching staff. If there is a bigger competitor in the sport of college baseball, I'd like to meet him. And being able to bestow that down onto your student athletes, but again, making sure that they're going about it the right way, I think is very important. I just think that those leadership qualities are so strong, but there's got to be that balance of having an athletic director that trusts them, that understands that these guys get it and these gals get it. And whatever their teaching method is, whatever their development method is, which is going to be different from one sport to the other, from one coaching personality to the other. This isn't a cookie cutter list of coaches at all these sports. They're going to do it in different ways if they're effective and they're getting the job done in the classroom, but more importantly on the field as well, where you're able to put yourself into these postseason opportunities and trying to win championships year in and year out. You're going to feel good about that, and you're not going to have the athletic director in your office other than to congratulate you, as opposed to, you know, trying to restructure certain contracts and put more incentive in there because maybe there's a little bit of lost faith there. I think that's the ideal day-to-day that Troy Dannon wants, is knowing that coaches understand what it's going to take to be successful in their respective sports, and they have that right method of teaching. And I think right now, when we look at this entire group of coaches at the University of Nebraska, I think it's as strong as it's been in a very long time.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the coaches that was not there, but that there's a lot of excitement about his program, Mark Manning. I told you I went over to men's hoops today, and over there to Devaney and Hendricks. And there were so many kids. I ran into a couple people, and they're like, this is crazy around here. There's the campers everywhere for the wrestling camp. There's over 1,000 kids that showed up for camp. I mean, it is there. And we have just talked about this so much here over the last couple of weeks, but the interest in this program and the excitement. And to me, I think how well attended your camps are also kind of a picture of that as well, when you got young kids that want to come in and be a part of that. But it was cool to see. There were a lot of wrestlers that have been coming through these camps here, and I know more to come.
And Mark Manning, I think, might be the best example of, I think, what makes this athletic department very strong, because there's that personal nature of Mark Manning. There's that support that he shows all the other programs. And we're seeing guys like Matt Rule do this as well. I see Amy Williams and Rhonda Ravel as well. I mean, all the coaches, I think they do support each other. Mark Manning, who has seen many boss changes, many athletic directors have come and gone. He has seen a lot in the sport. He's seen a lot in collegiate athletics. And they've remained extremely competitive. And he continues to use the brand of Nebraska wrestling to attract some of the best wrestlers in the country. And I think that competitiveness goes without saying when it comes to Mark Manning. I mean, again, as I said, if there's a guy who wants to win in the sport of baseball more than Will Bolt, I'd like to meet him. If there's someone who is more competitive in the sport of wrestling, I'd like to meet him than Mark Manning. But there is that ability of taking the experiences from when he was a young, probably very ambitious, young, hungry wrestling coach that you had tunnel vision on the W, and that was it, to where he's been able to take all that experience of going from Big 8, Big 12 to Big 10 and being able to see how not only the conference change had been a challenge, but also was a benefit for them, but also the world of college athletics. And he still does it with that same intensity, but such likable approach. One of the best guys to talk about, and really one of the best guys not only to promote his sport in wrestling, but to promote the athletic department too. I think he might be one of the best examples when you think about just that all-encompassing quality that you want to see out of your leaders.
And, he's so many times, because talking with coaches and just when they have a big win, a lot of times Mark Manning is one of the first to text. But that was another thing that got brought up, just the camaraderie between the coaching staff and how much they lean on each other during even, hard times too, how much they will reach out or someone else will reach out and just help them navigate through a hard time. But then they're the first to celebrate each other's successes. And so I think that's what's also cool, that doesn't always get highlighted, but just the support that that's in place with this coaching staff and how much they are so excited. Like, they're each other's biggest fans sometimes, and I think that's the cool part too. And Mark Manning is also one of the guys that is at the top of that list of being a supportive teammate on this coaching staff.
Yeah, the Matt Rule part of this too, I think we've talked about it enough, but I think it's worth mentioning again, where part of the winter conditioning, the mat drills, was having that engagement in the community, but also with your fellow peers and student athletes. And where I think maybe there were some football players that thought, we're doing this because our coach is telling us, and then all of a sudden realized they really enjoy doing it. And I felt like with that type of attendance at all the different winter sports events, and then that carried into the spring sports events, I felt that became sort of a challenge amongst the athletic department too, of, all right, well, we're going to do this. We see, the football players, they are the face of the athletic department. I mean, it just is. That's how it is in the state of Nebraska. And you see them showing up to a volleyball game. You see them showing up to a tennis match. You see them showing up to any sport they possibly have time for. And then all of a sudden you see volleyball players all over the football games. You see them at baseball games. You see them when they have time because they're rock stars as well. Then all of a sudden you see baseball players present at the basketball games when they have time. Going to tennis matches. I think it just became kind of a competition to where now I think a lot of the coaches are really encouraging their student athletes to be able to have that support, because again, I think that feels like a unified student athlete group that you have.
Okay, so got to get to a break here, but we're going to talk to one of the star volleyball players you just talked about. New incoming as we continue our Newcomer series here on Sports Nightly. Kenna Cogill, the freshman middle blocker, a late addition to this group, but great conversation with her. We're going to learn more about her coming up here on the other side of this. And hey, Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee, dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
O'Reilly. Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines to protect against wear and deposits. Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select filter for just $33.99 in-store only. Limit supply. Learn more at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
This season, step up to the plate with exceptional offers at Woodhouse Ford. For a limited time, you pay what we pay, with exclusive employee pricing on the full lineup of award-winning vehicles. From the built tough F-150 to the versatile Bronco, it's your chance to drive home a new Ford with a deal that truly knocks it out of the park. View inventory and our exclusive offers online, or visit Woodhouse Ford at our 3 locations in Blair, Omaha, and Plattsmouth.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Some days you hit snooze, but not today. Today you have to go on a run to get burgers for the tailgate. You've got to haul something heavy, a cooler stocked with Bud Light. When you've got beer and football, nothing is hard. Until the other team scores. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus. Copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. Tonight we will continue our Newcomer series, the conversations that we have been having with the new Huskers that have joined the Nebraska women's basketball team and volleyball teams. Those are the two teams that we've tackled so far, but I did have a chance to chat with three of the new faces to Nebraska men's basketball today. We will bring you those conversations when we come back on the air starting July 7th. But had a chance to sit down with another one of the very, very, very talented freshmen from Nebraska volleyball, the freshman middle blocker out of Arizona, top 25 prospect, Kenna Cogill, and her story is a little bit more unique in that she was committed to Oregon, and then the coaching change happened there. She reopened up her recruitment. Nebraska had a spot. It was always her dream school. She was club teammates with Terea Sigler as well, so just a really cool story. I had a chance to chat with her. Here is a portion of that conversation as a part of our Newcomer series presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska. What is the process like? I mean, I think people forget sometimes as your athletes that you are freshmen and you're doing this for the first time. How was it moving out, packing your stuff, and moving into the dorm?
I feel like it was actually really easy. Like, my family, like, we just packed everything into, like, these big boxes, and then we just moved everything in. And then we did the majority of the shopping here because I took my car up. So then we, like, just went to Target and a bunch of places, but it was super easy.
That's awesome. Well, you worked at camp too, which I want to get into, and I know you're getting settled in here over the last few weeks, but let's just go back to your journey here, because it was a little bit different than everybody else, being that you were a later addition, your recruiting process opened back up.
Yeah.
So can you kind of take us through that and just when you decided to reopen your recruitment process, what you were looking for?
Well, so I was committed to Oregon, like, the first time around, and then with, like, the coaching changes and everything, decommitted. And then I was just like, okay, like, I want to reopen, like, see, like, what opportunities there are. So then I reached out to Nebraska, and I was like, hey, like, is there, like, an opening or anything? And then Jalen called, and he was like, let's, like, get to see everything. And I was like, okay. And then, yeah, everything just ended up working out, and I'm just super excited and grateful to be here. So.
Was it stressful, though, at all, like being that you were committed and then you had to figure out, okay, what I thought was going to be is not going to be, and now I got to figure it out from here?
It was definitely a stressful time because I was, like, so set on it. Like, for 2 years, I was like, okay, like, I'm going to Oregon. This is where I'm going. But honestly, like, the support from my family and just, like, my club coaches, my club teammates, like, everything, it just made it super easy. And, like, although it was difficult, like, they made it better for me.
And I know Nebraska was a dream school for you, so, I mean, it's crazy how all things work out.
Yeah.
What an important message, I feel like, for young athletes, that if things fall through, kind of stick with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that maybe could be a good example for people that it can be a pretty stressful time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, like, what I learned is, like, everything does happen for a reason, and, like, this full circle moment of it just, like, really showed me that. And so, yeah.
Okay, so, you know, I know it's been out there. I think your club team posted on Facebook. You wrote a paper in high school about Nebraska.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
It was just, so I went to the camp here, it was like summer in between my freshman and sophomore year, I want to say, or maybe 8th grade and freshman. But, and then I just came back and I loved it. Like, after I was like, okay, this is my dream school. Like, this is where I want to go. And then my teacher, so I guess it was freshman year. My teacher, like, had a prompt, and it was like, write about something that, like, has meaning to you and, like, represents something. And I was like, okay, the Nebraska volleyball, because, like, all the campers, like, get the Nebraska volleyball after the camp. And, like, I was like, okay, this is, like, this really signifies, like, where, like, my goal is and, like, where I want to end up. So that's kind of, like, where it stemmed from.
Do you have the Nebraska volleyball with you that you got?
It's in my room. I have, like, a little trophy thing, like, with all my, like, medals and stuff from club, and it's, like, sitting right up on it.
So what were the things that you wrote about that, you know, when you talk about it being meaningful for you in that paper, that it was something so much that you wanted to write about it?
Yeah, so, well, I talked about, like, the coaches and, like, being there, and then just, like, the environment of, like, how the coaches were with, like, even, like, us campers. Like, they were just, like, so helpful and everything. And then just like walking around campus and like I remember walking into the gym and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Like just imagining like how it's gonna be with all the fans and everything. Like, oh, I was like, this is like amazing. But yeah.
We always hear about, the Dream Team camp and how competitive it is, how you get a full, real experience of what it's like to be in Nebraska volleyball. As a young player, a young athlete, how motivating is it from that point on to know kind of what it takes, I guess?
Yeah, well, it was really cool, like being on the Dream Team, like seeing like what I guess like the Huskers then like had to do. Like it really like pushed me, and it's like, okay, like they're doing these things, like I need to start doing these things so I can reach like my goal here. So it was definitely really motivating and like really pushed me.
So when you make that call then, again, going back full circle, and after it opens back up and hey, we do have a spot for you, how did that feel?
It was like amazing. I was like, oh my, like this is crazy. Like I remember like talking to my parents and like we were just like, wow, like it felt like so surreal, but like I was so excited. I was like, oh my goodness.
Did you get an A on the paper?
I did. I did. I'm pretty sure I got like a 95 or 100. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Okay, so you were also longtime teammates with Drea too.
Yes.
What, since 13?
Yeah, since 13s, yep.
Tell us about her, because I'll ask her about you too, but what do we need to know about T?
She, like, first off, is an amazing teammate. She is, like, the biggest hype girl. Like, I would, like, get a kill. She would, like, come up, give me a chest bump. Like, she was, like, the first one to, like, come congratulate you. And, like, she just truly is the best teammate. And she's so good, too. Like, her court awareness, like, her, like, arm swing, like, literally everything. I'm just so excited to continue this journey with her, so.
Not everybody gets to play with a longtime teammate like that. How special is that you guys get to continue on here as Huskers?
It's so special. Like, being able to see each other grow from, like, little 13-year-olds, like, now we're going to be, like, going through college together. Like, it's so amazing. And I'm really excited. She's definitely, like, the right person to do, like, this journey with, so.
I think what also is cool that I've found throughout talking to the Huskers throughout the years is, even though you guys might not know each other, a lot of times you do, your paths have crossed, whether it be with the national team or playing club. How is that, too? How does that work, and how, I guess, comforting is that? What is that like when you kind of are familiar, but then you get to come together and you have those common goals, I guess?
It's definitely amazing. And, like, coming in here, like, everyone has been so supportive and, like, so welcoming. Like, we all hang out. So, like, that's what's special about this team is, like, we're all friends. Like, we all, like, love each other. We all enjoy each other. And, like, I've only been here for, like, a month, and I already feel like I'm such a big, like, such a part of the team. Like, they've been really good at, like, bringing me in. And, yeah, it's just been awesome.
What was that phone call like when you got to call Drea and tell her, hey, I'm going to be a Husker with you?
I sent her a picture, and I was like, it's official. And then she, like, called me, and she was, like, screaming on the phone. I'm pretty sure, like, my dad has a video of it. She's like, oh, my God, Kenna, like, I'm so excited. I was like, I know, like, I can't wait. So, yeah, it was awesome, though.
One of the first things you did then when you got here was you started working camps. What was that like, walking in as
so surreal,
like helping host the camps?
Yeah, because I was like, I was here like whenever I was your guys' age, and like now I'm helping these like young girls like hopefully reach their dreams of coming here too. So it was crazy.
Did you take a minute to take it in?
I like looked around and I was like, wow, like this is like real, like this is crazy. But
I always find it interesting too, just to find out where it began for you. Where did volleyball begin for you? Why did you fall in love with the sport?
Yeah, so I started volleyball when I was 11, and I was a swimmer for like a while actually before that, and then like things just didn't work out. I was like, okay, I think it's time to like try something new. My mom played volleyball in college, so she like really pushed me to try volleyball, and I was also super tall, so she was like, okay, like it's time to try volleyball. So then played for like a little rec team, and I was like, okay, like I'll try club, and then I started at Storm, and then luckily like I finished through Storm, so I was really lucky to be able to spend like my whole club career at Storm. So
a swimmer, huh?
Yes.
Are you still pretty good? You can go pretty fast in the pool?
I think so. I haven't like tried in a while, but yeah.
Do you have a favorite stroke?
I liked butterfly.
Butterfly. That's the hardest one, isn't it?
I know, yeah. Wow. It helps having long arms, though.
Like Michael Phelps, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
So at what point did you realize, I mean, was it when you came to that camp that you thought, okay, I want to do this in college, or how did that become what you wanted to do next with volleyball?
I've kind of always, like, known that I wanted to play in college. Like, that was always a goal of mine, like, since I was little. Like, not playing college wasn't really always an option. I was like, okay, like the second I started playing volleyball, I was like, I love this. Like, this is what I want to do. So like having the idea of college has always been like in the back of my mind, but definitely coming, because this was my first college camp. So like coming here, I was like, okay, yes, like I want to play in college. Like that is my #1 goal. Like, and then definitely coming here too was my other goal. So.
Was there an athlete then, a Husker then, that you really related to?
I really looked up to Lauren Stiverins, and like, because she also played at Storm, and she was from Arizona, and she's obviously a middle blocker. And just like being able, like I remember looking up to her whenever I first started, and I was like, I want to be like her. Like this is who I want to be like. So she was definitely one of my biggest role models.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Have you talked to her?
Not really. I talked to her one time at like an NTDP thing, because there was one in Arizona, and she was there like helping, but. Yeah, she's awesome.
I'm sure you'll get a chance to chat with her. I know she's done some broadcast recently, too. Do you have a major yet? What you want to do in school?
Right now I'm doing psychology.
Wow. Why?
Yeah. I just think it's like an amazing like opportunity to be able to help people. And like I feel like I'm pretty good at like reading people's like emotions and being able to like utilize that and turn it into a career, I think would be really cool. Especially like in sports, too, like sports psychology. Like being able to connect with like players, since like I've been through that. So, yeah.
How important, because that's also been something I know that Nebraska does really well, and they have that opportunity, and this volleyball program has really embraced that. Coach Cook did from the start too, but that aspect of it, of the mental part, and just diving into the psychology of it as an athlete, how important is that?
It's definitely very important. Like being able to be like mentally strong and like being able to utilize that, like. One of like the biggest things is like when like players and stuff get stressed, like being able to take that stress and like turn it into excitement and like really like make that your drive to like play good and do good. So, yeah.
So I know that, you know, when you first came to the camp and you fell in love with Nebraska, Coach Cook was the coach.
Yeah.
So when the change happened and then you start having these conversations, what made you believe in Danny Busboom Kelly in the same way that you did Coach Cook?
I think Danny can like really, I think she's going to be able to like carry on like the legacy of Cook. Like I like have full belief that she's going to like do amazing things here, and like seeing her like at Louisville, like interacting with her players, and like already like her coaching is like amazing. So I think she's going to do amazing. I'm so excited to play under her.
That's great.
Yeah.
So when you get here now, and I know settling in, all of that good stuff, what is the process like for you here over these next couple of months of being in the gym and doing what you need to do to be ready for preseason?
I think just working hard, like working super hard, and like a lot of the freshmen came in like in January and graduated early, and since I'm coming in a little bit later, like just always giving 100%, like getting in extra reps on like off days, and just being able to like utilize the gym, like fully utilize like the practice time, and just like really putting in the work, I think will help. So.
Have the workouts been, were you ready for them? Were they hard?
Yeah.
Did you have to adjust to them?
They're definitely a lot different than like high school workouts, and like I did training obviously like back in Arizona, and like my club, we took training and like running and conditioning really seriously, so coming from like Storm definitely helped, but it's definitely different, but I'm loving it so far. So
yeah, that was Kenna Cogill, the freshman middle blocker out of Arizona, joining Nebraska volleyball. She was one of the newer additions, did not go through spring, but just got here and has been settling in. So appreciated her coming in here and chatting with us here as a part of our Newcomer series presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska. Whether you just arrived in Nebraska or you've called it home for years, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is here for you. We've been part of this community for 85 years, helping Corn Huskers, new and native, stay healthy and thrive on and off the field. We got to get to a break. More of the show coming up right after this.
Sophistication meets performance in your new vehicle from Woodhouse Cadillac. Explore special financing and exclusive offers happening now.
Lease the Cadillac XT5 Premium Luxury for $435 a month for 48 months and 10,000 miles per year.
Visit us in-store or online at woodhousecadillac.com.
With approved credit, stock number KK240121, tax title license extra, $0 at signing. Must currently lease a GM vehicle to qualify. Courtesy transportation vehicle with 3,012 miles. Offer expires 6/30/2025. See dealer for details.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule. With your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or get us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Huskers.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule. With your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or get us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Huskers.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Nebraska soybeans power everyday products, from Goodyear tires and Skechers shoes to soy-based turf and fire suppressants. These innovations replace petroleum and utilize other components of the soybean, leading to more sustainable products worldwide.
I'm Doug Sadoff, a farmer near Trumbull, Nebraska. Thanks to cutting-edge research, soybeans are now in everything from tires to turf. It's amazing to see how these advancements are unlocking new potential for our crops.
Soybeans are a win for every product and everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
In the game of life, we all face tough moments. Sometimes it feels like we're up against a formidable block with no way through. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the final set. Reach out, speak up, and let's bump, set, and spike this challenge together. Because in Nebraska, we're more than players. We're a supportive community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every serve, every pass. Go Big Red. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I got to tell you, I just have been so impressed by this Nebraska volleyball freshman class. I've done a few more interviews, and we'll sprinkle them in the show here over the next few weeks of the summer, as we like to do. But they are... If you have seen any social media, whether it be TikTok, I don't know, and even the videos that the social media team has put out, you can tell they've got a lot of personality. And it has just been such a joy to get to chat with them and get to know them. They are so mature, as you can hear, as we continue to do these interviews. But they are so mature, have such a great perspective of what they're stepping into. But I think they're confident enough in themselves to be able to bring their own flair and what they know that they can bring even as freshmen, and are okay with whatever role they might play. It's been really neat to be able to chat with them, and it's just different because this has been the biggest freshman class, and I guess Harper and Laney and Andy's class. And Bergen. That was a pretty decent-sized class, but this group of newcomers has been the biggest volleyball newcomer class since I've been here, and so it's just been really neat to get to know them, and I'm excited to bring you the rest of those conversations as the summer unfolds. We got to get to another break, but we're back to wrap up hour number 1 next. Hey, Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee, dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money because you're in charge. And right now, you're going to pay for groceries. But you decide what groceries. Just keep in mind you're running out of dishwashing soap. But you decide if you're going to buy that soap. It's just those dishes won't clean themselves, will they? Remember, with Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens.
I'm Jason Pinky, a farmer near Craig, Nebraska. Soybeans are vital for feeding our livestock, and they're also a powerhouse protein source for people worldwide. Our world needs protein, and Nebraska soybeans are making a difference.
From tailgate grills to global plates, farmers deliver affordable, nutritious protein to build muscle and energy for everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. So a little bit of a crazy story. I was talking earlier about the amount of campers, and in fact, the Nebraska Wrestling social media account posted a graphic that they had over 1,100 campers here on campus going through the camps. And I chatted with a couple of the basketball folks that said it's just been crazy how many people are there here over the last few days. But as I was driving home between interviews during the day today to let Sunny out, my dog, to go potty, I passed a bus and I looked at it and it said Cash, and then it said Cash Bulldogs. And crazy that Cache, Oklahoma is where my dad and aunt graduated high school. They grew up, so my grandparents lived there. So it's pretty close to where I graduated high school in Oklahoma. But Cache Bulldogs, and then so I went to their, and I think I'd heard that they were pretty good in wrestling. So sure enough, I went to their Facebook account and I just looked it up, and they brought a group of wrestlers from Cache, Oklahoma. And so they had their bus out there today, and I saw it, and I sent it to my dad and aunt, and they thought it was really cool. But what was neat about looking up the group that they brought, almost half of the group are girls wrestlers. And so I know we've talked a lot about, if there's a sport added here at Nebraska for women's sports. Wrestling just is growing. I know it's a big deal here in Nebraska, but I think since I've been removed from the state of Oklahoma, I haven't realized how much it grew in the state of Oklahoma. So, and it looked like they had a couple of state champions in Oklahoma too from Cache. So I just thought that was neat, and so I had to send it to my dad. But that is the alma mater of My dad, Jack Coody, is participating in Nebraska wrestling camp, part of the 1,100 that have been here over the last few days. So I just thought that was pretty cool. All right, coming up in hour number 2, Nick Hanley going to rejoin us here on the top of the hour for a couple of segments. And then Jake is going to bring you the joke of the week on his final day here at the Huskers Radio Network. So keep it here on Sports Nightly. Plenty to come. Hour number 2 just ahead.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
In the game of life, we all face tough moments. Sometimes it feels like we're up against a formidable defense with no way through. Call a timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the final whistle. Reach out, speak up, and let's tackle this together. Because in Nebraska, we're more than a team. We're family. Remember, in times of need, call, text, or chat 988. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Nebraska Lottery.
Hey, I heard Trucks and Bucks is back.
Yes, sir. And this year you could win one of 8 new gray trucks. People from around the state just love this game.
They do?
You bet. Just this morning, I got calls from excited players in Burwell, Sutton, Falls City, and Ralston.
Well, you can add Wilbur to the list.
You're from Wilbur?
No, that's my name.
Oh.
Hey, if you get a call from Alma, that's my aunt.
That's her name?
No, that's where she lives.
Trucks and Bucks top prize odds are 1 in 336,000.
Good evening. I'm David Swotek, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. As a whole, the Nebraska Athletic Department killed it this year and is getting quite the recognition for it. The Athletic Department placed 21st in the final 2024 to 2025 Division I Learfield Directors Cup standings. In total, Nebraska scored 830.5 points, marking the best finish since 2010. This is only the fourth time in the past 20 years that the Huskers have scored over 800 points in the all-sport competition. There were 6 other Big Ten teams making it in the top 25, including USC in 2nd, UCLA in 5th, Ohio State in 8th, Michigan in 13th, Penn State in 16th, and Oregon in 18th. And one of the biggest contributors to this award, Nebraska men's basketball, will be facing off against New Mexico in the opening round of the 2025 Hall of Fame Classic later this year. This will only be the second time these two teams have hit the court together, with the last matchup back in the 2009 NIT, where New Mexico claimed the victory 83-71 in Albuquerque. Tip-off is set for November 20th at 6 p.m. And finally, some MLB action happening around the country tonight. The Detroit Tigers hosted the Athletics, and they used that home diamond advantage. They win it today 8-0. Also, Seattle headed on over east to Minnesota to face up against the Twins. It's the top of the 9th. It's not looking good for the Mariners. The Twins are going to take this one away 10-0. And also, the Braves and the Mets kicked it off. No action so far, and it's the end of the 3rd, all tied up at 0-0. Timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide in Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Coming up next is Hour 2 of Sports Nightly, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
The siege and behind the screen, dances around, has he moved, pump fake, out it comes to Jacobson, puts it up and in! Holy smokes! Way to go, Cale! Cale Jacobson from Ashland, Nebraska, into the starting lineup 3 games ago, hits a huge, humongous, gigundous 3.
Runs and deals. Ball swings and lets the fly ball to left. Colvin going back to the wall, and it's good! Home run, Jordy Bull! A towering drive to left field by Jordy Bull, and that ties the school record for home runs in a season by a Husker. Allie Viola, you've got company. It's the best player in college softball with her 3rd home run of the weekend. Jordy Bull.
Bump set left. Almodovar's in the front row. She tips it. Doug. Huskers own it. Set left. Harper again. Over dig and out. Point Harper Murray in the big red. She's carrying them. That's 18 kills for Harper. It's 25-24 Nebraska.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Nick Hanley, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome back, hour number 2 of Sports Nightly. Nick Hanley back with us here for a couple of segments. And then we're going to have a little bit of a, I don't know if I'm going to make it through the show without crying. It's the last night in the studio, but it's the last night for one of our star interns. All of them are stars, let's face it. But Jake Schron's his last night, and he's going to be bringing us the joke of the week as his going away present here tonight.
By the way, I did use the Julian one.
You did?
I did, and I know we shared a laugh over it, but I don't. My audience wasn't overly impressed with that one, so I think it's good. I liked it.
Who'd you share it to? They did what? They just aren't. My
wife and my 4-year-old son. You would think the 4-year-old son would at least find it funny. I mean, he just looked at me like I was an alien or something. I don't know.
I said it to my hair lady today, and she kind of looked at me like, "You're dumb," and then she started laughing. She's like, "Oh, it just took me a minute. Maybe it was one of those things. It just took you guys got it once. I had to stop you and let hey, I got a joke for you, but."
I mean, it's not a thinker. You should either you get it or you don't. So I don't know. You know what? That's fine. They can have their opinions. I thought it was a banger. I liked it.
Thanks. I might. You got a few more days to use it. you know?
That's right, I do.
4 more days to use it.
I got an entire weekend to work with that thing. I mean, come on.
All right, well, I did want to lead off here, hour number 2. I've been saying this, that you will have an announcement in terms of your future. You will still be a part of this Huskers Radio Network broadcast team moving forward, helping out, but also as a part of the baseball crew. But you've got some news, and it's not just news for you, it's news also for us here on the HRN, as we're going to have a new home in Omaha. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to not only share this news on behalf of Walnut Media, but also a newly employed member of Walnut Media, which is Boomer Radio, as a lot of folks in Omaha know it as, and we've got a lot of different properties between Council Bluffs and Fremont, and even in Joliet, Illinois. So Walnut Media, though, that is the owner of Boomer Radio in Omaha, and a very strong signal with 1490, will be the new Omaha affiliate with the Huskers Radio Network. So as I'll be changing over from Summit Media over to Walnut Media with the contract and everything that goes with that, that is going to be the new Omaha affiliate. And there's going to actually be 2 AMs on Saturday. That's how big football is in this state. We're going to have 1490 and 660 AM, giving you your AM signal for the terrestrial radio, which we know is so important for Husker fans to be able to have that, even when you're at the stadium, to be able to listen to football games and be able to listen to the new voice of Husker football, Kyle Crooks and Damon Benning, and yourself, Jessica. So you'll have that opportunity. And with the same thing that you've had with all the Omaha affiliation before, you're going to get volleyball play-by-play, you're going to get men's and women's basketball play-by-play, and baseball as well. Sports Nightly also going to be heard on Boomer Radio, so couldn't be more excited about that. And for me, yeah, I've taken a position with them. Actually started last week, and I'm doing the sports programming coordinator, so kind of helping out with this transition as well, and making sure we have all of our ducks in a row, and then also doing some of the sports marketing strategy as well. So very excited about that, because as excited as we are with having the Huskers Radio Network, we still have some other sports properties that we want to always give our attention to as well. So extremely excited about this announcement, which was made official today.
So it's been in the works for a while, and congratulations to you on the new gig. And again, we're excited that we're going to continue to be able to keep working with you. But we got a lot of folks that listen in Omaha that text in, and so I'm super excited too that they're going to have a home that's going to have a strong signal, that they're going to be able to hear all of your regular programming there in the Omaha area.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Sports Nightly will be heard on 1490 and then also on 97.3 FM. So you will have the FM option for Sports Nightly, and then football, as I mentioned, with 1490 and 660 AM, but also 97.3 FM as well. So it's cool, and it's interesting, Jessica, because I was a part of the previous affiliation with KSSP and 590, and that was the station that brought me back to Omaha. I was in Columbus for 7-8 years, being a sports director out there and coaching high school baseball, and coming back was exciting. And then it was only a couple of years into that job at 590 that they got the Husker affiliation. And I know that doesn't come easy for them to give up that affiliation. A lot of changes, as we see in the radio world. It just happens so much, and I just think it's going to be awesome. Patrick Combs, who's got a very strong relationship, he was a UNL student as well, the CEO for Walnut. I know he's looking forward to this. The entire staff is so excited, and we are going to treat this thing the way that it needs to be treated, because, as you mentioned, Jessica, it is so important for the Omaha folks, and not just for Husker game days on Saturday, but also weeknights listening to you, and soon Kyle as well.
And again, if I haven't hammered it home enough, it's all starting July 7th, right? Like our transition to the new studio, when we come back on the air live for the first time, when we transition everything over, that's when you can start hearing us on the airwaves, right?
Yes. Yep. July 7th. There's, it's kind of the duck in the water thing. We're all excited. I seem very calm and just overjoyed with this transition, but there's a lot of moving parts. The legs are churning 1,000 miles a minute right now, just making sure we have everything in place, and that we are going to have hopefully, crossing our fingers, a very seamless launch.
Well, thanks for delivering that news. We've been waiting on it. We knew it was coming, but we can actually officially say what you're doing, but then also that we are going to have a new home in Omaha. So I'll be looking for that to our Omaha listeners, and we'll be keeping you updated too. And hopefully everything all goes well. We're sitting here, hey, July 7th, but like you mentioned, no, everything will be fine. Everything will be fine.
Just around the corner.
Yes,
and I do want to thank Walnut because they have been so kind to continue to lend me to you fine folks, especially for the baseball season too, which was a huge plus for me and something that I was really actively seeking whatever my next adventure would be.
Thanks to your bosses from me.
Yes.
Make sure you tell them thank you from me.
Absolutely.
I don't know how I would have made through the summer months without you. But also, too, as we mentioned last week, Kyle's going to be moving in, and his first day is officially on July 7th, and he's going to be making appearances. But you're going to continue to help us out here on Sports Nightly through the month of July to let Kyle get in here and get settled in. And, even just, it's not like you moved cities, but when you start a new job, there's a lot that goes into that. And you got to get your ID card so you can get in the doors, and you got to figure out even where everything is. Where are the bathrooms? Where do I go get water? And then just moving into a new city and all of that. So it's a process, but then also he's learning a new city, a new team, and then also figuring out the broadcast as well. So we want to make sure he's got plenty of time to settle in, and he will be a part of our broadcast, but full-time, not on Sports Nightly. We're going to let him kind of take the month of July to get settled in, and then so you're going to keep helping us out. So I appreciate it.
I will. Now, I want on my last one, when it's officially going to be Kyle and yourself, on my last one, I want to be able to deliver the joke of the night, joke of the week.
I just thought of that when you said, I'm like, I got a joke of the week. That's it. It might have to be the last one because, it's just a summer series. So it might be like, so it better be a banger,
Oh, don't worry. I'll come with guns blazing on this one. Don't you worry.
July. Oh, man. Good stuff. Thanks for letting us know that. And we're excited about it, too, here on the HRN. Okay, so we didn't get a chance to dive into this last night, but after you were on the first segment, and then we just had other things to get to. But Corey Campbell was on last night, and I just found it fascinating, one of the points that he had talked about when everybody that's familiar with Coach Rule and what he's done with football programs always talk about kind of that year 3 switch. And I asked Corey about that and what he sees. And he made a comment that really stuck with me about how guys really start to defend it, like that culture that isn't put in place. And they really start to defend it. They learn it. They start to embrace it. Now they're defending it. And he just is really complimentary of the progress and process that this group has made, which I think also speaks volumes, too, because it's a pretty young group, as we've also made note of several times throughout these last couple of weeks.
It is, and I always wonder about how those guys, we were talking about it yesterday, of how he's such a big part of when you get these prospective student athletes and those recruits to the campus and get a chance to see the facilities, and how he's such a big part of that, really that driving force and that selling point of being able to close on those recruits. As a lot of people know, a lot of people, even if they weren't student athletes, if they just went to college, they remember that first week and being a freshman, everything is just so overwhelming and so much bigger, and you're a little bit more out on your own. I'm always curious on how those young people and really those freshmen, when they come into that first day of strength and conditioning and they have that first introductory meeting with Coach Campbell, and they're going through their different goals and what they need to achieve on an individual basis and to really better themselves, not only just from an individual physical standpoint, but also to help them out in their position, how they're able to take all of that in. And I'm sure it's overwhelming. And again, it goes back to, after listening to his conversation with you, it goes back to something that you and I discussed a little bit, and that's that personality. Because when you're in that position, you're constantly just driving energy. And that's obviously something that I think has to come with any strength and conditioning coach. But I think there has to be substance there, too. You can't just be a rah-rah guy with no substance. There are times that I think Corey Campbell would actually like to get in a three-point stance and go head-to-head with somebody across the line of scrimmage. I mean, he's that amped up, but he's that dialed into it. But he's so intuitive when it comes to each. I mean, think about that. Over 100 players that are going to have different types of body styles. There's going to be different goals. You've got to be in tune to every bit of it. I know it's not just Corey Campbell. He's got a tremendous team, and that also goes into sports nutrition and everything. It works collaboratively. But I just think of Corey Campbell being the face of that, what that must be like when you first meet him. And then when you go for that first week of just getting into the routine, and then you start to see the gains and you start to see the improvement, what that must feel like with having that man right behind you, really guiding you the entire way. I just think Nebraska's got a great one in him, but it's very reassuring knowing that this is such an important season. Like you mentioned, these young players, that this is where you see the most growth in them physically for certain guys that maybe got overly bulked up and have to take a little bit of that back, or guys that are looking to bulk up even more. Having that big jump from year one to year two with so many freshmen going into sophomore years or redshirt freshmen going into sophomore years, being able to see that type of jump, because a lot of those players are going to have such a major impact on the two deep this year.
I think another thing that, to me, that I took away too, that he's not going to give compliments if they weren't earned, and so he's not he's not a guy that's going to blow smoke. I can guarantee you that. So when he brought up the fact that it's been an important summer already, because we've been talking about July. But, you know, you go through spring ball, you start off, you go through January, you make all the gains, whatever, and February, and then you get out on the field for the spring, and then they get time off in May. And he said when collectively as a group, after they came back from that time off, and then they get back to working out, and they have not lost what they have gained, and they have continued doing the work on their own, a lot of times that speaks a lot of volumes to where the progress is going to continue to go when they have done what they needed to do, when they haven't had a guy like Corey Campbell behind them, you know, kind of rah-rahing or challenging them or whatever it might be. But the work that they've done on their own, that they were ready to go and then some, that they didn't lose any, they didn't take any steps back when they were on their own, when they didn't have the accountability of being in front of coaches every single day during that period in May.
They know they're going to have to answer to Corey Campbell if they don't, though, when they get back. No, and I think that just goes to strong culture more than anything. And again, I think that's the teaching method there. But you're right, because, I mean, think about that, not only just as a college student athlete, but even as a young college player, that when you get away from the routine, it would be easy to revert to bad habits again, or to old habits. And to, you know what, I can take a day off, or I'm a little sore, I'm going to cut a corner here and there. And I think that they understand. That's what's really remarkable. And that's where I give a lot of credit to Corey Campbell and that staff, that they've made it very clear to every player that even when you're away from camp and you're away from home base, you've got to take care of yourself, because if you need even 2 or 3 days to get back into it and to get yourself back to where you were when you left, there are going to be other guys that didn't do that. They're going to pass you by. And so I think that's that healthy competition of understanding, hey, we're trusting you. We're going to treat you like adults. We're going to treat you and really treat you the way that you feel you should be treated. We're going to expect you to be responsible. But trust me, we'll know if you're not. We'll see it from day one. And we've seen guys miss camp and miss very important days of camp and reps because they came back and they were not in shape. I think between Matt Rule making that very clear, where there's been examples even in his short time at Nebraska where certain guys came back into fall camp and they were just not in good shape. It took them a long time to get back into shape, and they missed out on a lot. And they probably got passed up on the depth chart too. I think that's where there's this young breed of players that I think they got that from day one. They understand that, and I think you've got enough upperclassmen as well that are leading that charge where they're holding each other accountable. And I think that's, even though you're not answering to coaches when you're away, you're still texting back and forth with likely team captains and guys that are going to be wearing single-digit numbers. They're making sure and they're checking on the herd as well. So I think it's a pretty healthy environment when it comes to that.
Okay, we got to get to a break before it is Jake's time to shine, though. You've got one more segment left in you, right? Because there's a couple text messages that came in that I wanted to ask you about that we weren't able to get to last night. So I did want to answer those here. So we'll get to a break, and then we'll have one more segment with Nick before it is Jake's Joke of the Week time here on his final night here on Sports Nightly. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect that water is the reason parts of your concrete have gotten so uneven. Walkway tripping hazards, sinking pool deck, cracked driveways are dangerous threats to everyone's safety. But there's one way to learn how your concrete can be lifted. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Shop Woodhouse Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and save on our full lineup of new vehicles with Employee Pricing Plus going on right now. Sign and drive a 2025 Ram Bighorn Crew Cab, leased for just $399 per month. Visit one of our 2 convenient locations in Blair or Bellevue, or online anytime at WoodhouseChryslerJeepDodge.com or WoodhouseCDJRBellevue.com today. 42 months, 5,000 miles per year with approved credit. Tax title license extra for well-qualified return lease customers. Stock number C250733. Offer expires 6/30/2025. See dealer for details.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly, hour number 2, our final segment with Nick here tonight. And then we're going to turn things over to one of our star interns, Jake, on his final night here on the Huskers Radio Network. But, Nick, I said this on the other side of this break. We had a couple texts come in, and I didn't get a chance to get to them to you last night. But Sam in Omaha wanted me to ask you what you thought about the umpire throwing out the Coastal Carolina coach out of the game. Again, that's from Sam in Omaha.
What do I feel about him throwing him out, or the base ump who ends up losing his balance when he's trying to get in between them as well and ends up falling flat on his face? I mean, come on, buddy. Look, I think in the game of baseball, arguing balls and strikes are never usually going to lead to a pleasant result for the coach. But this is where I think it would have behooved the umpiring crew to understand the stakes. It was early in the game, so, I mean, it couldn't have been more than just a few barks from the dugout. And, yes, we saw Coastal's coach. He said, you missed 3 of them. He was very adamant. But I just, unless you are making it extremely inappropriate and personal at the umpiring crew, it's a national championship game. And to run a guy in the first inning, still don't know exactly what was said to warrant that. And then, of course, you get the other coach tossed as well because he's reacting to that. I mean, we're talking about a national championship game, a team that's trying to stay alive in the national championship series as well. Obviously, emotions are going to be high. Every pitch, every at-bat is going to be amplified that much more. I just feel like that was maybe lost a little bit when it came to the officiating.
But, you know, I mean, like you said, he did come out of the dugout, and he did.
Sure.
I know he didn't push him down. I know that was the maybe unathleticism of the umpire, but he still was charging the umpire. That's still not appropriate behavior. And I know maybe you give him a little bit more leeway because of the national championship, but that's still stuff that's going to get. I've seen coaches ran for less.
Sure, and that's the thing where, depending on what was being said and did he. This is where I still have never gotten a real clear answer or a real dialogue with it. Was he asking for explanation? Did the umpire, in a way, almost gesture for him to, hey, I'll explain to you? And then he crossed the line there as well. I don't want to make it sound like this is completely on the umpires, because you're right. All the points you bring up, for a coach, especially knowing how important your role is in that game, that to me, you've got to own a little bit of that, but I also don't know what was said to the point that you had to make that call right then and there, and you had to run the guy just like that. Because, look, there are moments, and we see this in a lot of different sports, not just baseball, but I've personally been involved in this before where your team is extremely flat in a game. Maybe the calls aren't necessarily going your way, but you essentially manufacture a dust-up with an umpire, really hoping to get thrown out because that's your last-ditch effort to fire up your team. Now, clearly that wasn't the example here in Coastal Carolina. You're not trying to do that given the fact that it's a national championship game and knowing how important it is for you to be in that game. I'm not saying that, but there are many times that you'll see a coach get thrown out. He was manufacturing that. He was trying to, because he's trying to light a fire under his team's butt. And I know that wasn't the case, and unfortunately for Coastal Carolina, it didn't work out to their favor. But I think there are two parties at fault here. I still, though, I look at it a little bit and wonder, was it necessary to go full bore thumbing him and getting him out, especially given how early it was in the first inning of that game? Not one, but 2 coaches that were not going to be in the dugout the rest of that very important game.
Is it me, or just it seems like he's kind of involved in a lot of drama? You go
the
back
Coastal
to like
coach?
the Florida situation.
Yeah.
It just seems like he's there's a lot of, I guess, viral moments with him behind a microphone. I guess I'll say that.
Well, and you know that's a fair thing to bring up, though, because here's the other part about this: when you have certain coaches that maybe have a bit of a, and Kevin Schnall would be one of them, that have a bit of a reputation where you're a little fiery. And there are going to be certain umpiring crews that understand that and will allow maybe even a little bit more to slide. But then there's going to be ones that are a little bit more defensive, that are understanding that the coach is that way and knowing that Coastal had their backs up against the wall, that they're not going to let a lot slide. And both coaches will always meet at home plate before the game. They exchange lineups. You go over ground rules of the ballpark and everything that goes with that. You ask if there's any questions. It's not that the umpires are saying, hey, by the way, Schnall, let's let's lower the energy level, or let's all be fair. If you need any explanations, let us know. Do so in a clear, concise manner. We'll be happy to explain a call or anything with you. A lot of that stuff is explained during that. And if you feel like both coaches are, got that message, then you can kind of go to a very, I don't want to say zero tolerance, but a very small tolerance policy. I think that's how it is in regular games. Now, when you ramp things up a little bit at that stage, I think it does become a little bit more, at least my opinion, you let a little bit more slide, at least to the point of not throwing them out. You are very, very demanding and say, you get back, that this is your last warning. If you do it again, you're done. If I hear anything coming out of the dugout, you're done. That didn't happen. And so, again, I would want to know exactly what the dialogue was to where Kevin Schnall crossed a line, whatever that was. And he might have. He very well could have. It looked a little more abrupt to me than I thought it would be.
Fair enough. Okay, the other question was coming after we were talking about the softball ratings on television for the Women's College World Series. They averaged more viewers on television than the Men's College World Series. And we were talking about why we think that is and whatnot. And so then I brought up maybe the intimacy, the storylines, and then the $1 million pitcher from Texas Tech, right? And so Dennis on the text line texted in and wanted to know, is the $1 million, the Texas Tech softball pitcher that is asking for $1 million, would she be worth it after they raised tickets to attend and concession prices 20% because of her? So here's what's crazy about all of that. So this was part of when it hadn't, the settlement comes into effect, right, July 1. So it is still, we are still not in the rev share era. And even if you're building your teams for next year, that's why they were saying a lot of these players that were promised a lot of money, you better pay them before July 1, because starting July 1, supposedly they're supposed to start tracking that. And so from my understanding, what I was told was that she was already paid that $1 million prior to July 1 from the NIL collective, that they raised that $1 million. So then the players that are coming in, it might be a different story where that revenue's coming from the other collective, the other money that was raised from the NIL collective, because unless it's changed, Texas Tech had said that the rev share was not going to be going not very much of it, if any, was going to softball. But now they had a heck of a season where they go to the national title series, and it's a little bit different story. And now they're bringing in some of the top players from the portal, which they're absolutely spending money for. But as far as the $1 million pitcher, Nigeria, she was already paid her $1 million, from what my understanding was, before the July 1 date.
Yeah, I think I thought I had also heard that. And the other part about that is it's going to be really interesting to watch. Remember, we saw this in football where there were a lot of players, most notably we had the quarterback, was it UNLV? Or did he end up going to UNLV? That refused to play because they were not making good on their promise with the collective. And so you all of a sudden have these players and these student athletes that were promised a certain amount of money. Well, now you can still get that money, but it's going to be heavily observed by the clearinghouse. And so, for lack of a better word, so it's going to be monitored, and you're going to have to check a lot more boxes than you had to. I think there was some boxes loosely checked in this whole process, but not much, because there was really no accountability for it. There was nobody that was overseeing it. So are we going to run into that? Because softball's one thing, and I think you're right. I think Texas Tech, it's going to be interesting to see with the rev share, if they think maybe a little bit more about that if you're Texas Tech, or is it like what we discussed with maybe having, if you have such a good collective with one team, do you need to put a lot of rev share into that particular sport because collective's so good that they're doing fine, the players are doing fine, being able to earn off their name, image, likeness? But when I think of football in this, now you have these things that are going to be closely monitored with the clearinghouse. Has everybody made good on their previous commitments to all of these student athletes? Because it wouldn't shock me if we get into August and you have the, quote, holdouts. Not a good look for the student athlete, but all it takes is one or two to do that. That's why we saw one player transfer from Tennessee to UCLA because of that. So this is where I will be interested to see if there are certain holdouts or certain college football players claiming that they had not got the full commitment of that last year's NIL earnings, and now they're a little worried because they're going to have to jump through a couple more hoops now to actually get that compared to what the previous agreement was.
Well, when we come back on the air, we will be officially in that era. So it will be after July 1 when we have transitioned into that. Okay, so Jake coming up next with the joke of the week, but also we're celebrating his last day here at the Huskers Radio Network. He's done a great job. He's moving to another one of our great affiliates. You're on an affiliate, and Jake's moving to a different affiliate in Alliance, Nebraska. What words of advice do you have for Jake as he takes on his first real job outside of college?
Don't overthink it, Jake. You got the job for a reason. You're going to be fantastic. Your talent speaks for itself, so don't overthink it. Trust your instincts, and don't say no. When you're out there, don't say no, because there's going to be things that they're going to ask you, hey, will you do some production here? Will you do this or that? Wear as many hats as you can, because you might just find something else that you like on top of what your talent is.
All right, good stuff. We'll let you go, but we'll talk to you again, I guess, here in a week or so.
Yeah, you guys have a great 4th of July holiday as well. And, yeah, I guess we'll talk in several days.
All right. Happy 4th to you.
See ya.
Nick Hanley joining us here on Sports Nightly. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse, and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Coming up next, the joke of the week featuring Jake.
You're going to feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Want to boost Nebraska's economy and help the planet? It's as easy as filling up your tank. Switch to soy-based biodiesel to cut greenhouse gases by up to 74% and support biodiesel growth.
I'm Greg Anderson, a farmer near Newman Grove, Nebraska, and biodiesel has transformed our farm. It cuts emissions, raises the cetane number, and improves fuel lubricity.
So ask for biodiesel where you fill up. It benefits our air, economy, and Nebraska soybean farmers. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
Husker fans, let's call a timeout on the court and in life. When the game gets tough, Nebraska stands together as a family, as a team. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. You're part of the Husker family, and every member is valued on and off the court. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Hey Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Welcome back. Just a couple of segments left here tonight on this Thursday night edition, but also our last two segments, live segments here in this radio studio, and our last two segments with our intern, Jake Schrantz, who's been such a big part of what we've done over the last couple of years. We've got a great intern group, and Jake's last day is today. How does it feel?
It feels kind of crazy. I'm thinking back to my first time stepping in the studio. I think I was either in this chair or like one over for the interview process. So
I know what you're about to say.
Yeah, it was a crazy. It's just crazy to think back that far, and now, you know, getting through college and where it's led me today.
And wasn't John Baylor here, and he was interrupting your ticker?
Yeah, that was one of my first times, I think, on the actual air for the Husker Radio Network. I was just kind of going through the scores of the day or something, and yeah, he was really entertaining.
Okay, so they were asking in the chat earlier about some favorite memories in the studio. There's a lot because, you know, the Halloween nights that Jim, one of our great listeners, Jim, would send in us costumes. Those are always great. Game days are always great, too, which I know you did a lot of very important segments for us on our game day. But I remember, so it was when I first got Sunny, and she was a puppy, and at first she did not like to walk on the leash for some reason. I don't know why. But it was, I don't remember why Jeremiah was here in studio that night, but he was co-hosting the show with me, and again, another one of our great listeners, Carol, had sent us Valentino's pizza, and it was delivered to the wrong spot. So you were like, I'll take her on a walk.
Yeah.
And it did not go well.
Yeah, that was just classic intern story, like going to pick up stuff. So with the construction that was going on at the stadium, I ended up taking, like, there was a right and a left, and I took a right. And that basically forced me to go all the way around Memorial Stadium, and it was pretty hot out, and she did not want to walk that night. So for the viewers watching on YouTube, I had the dog in one hand, and I think I was carrying like 5 pizzas in the left hand, and I was walking back around. But that was probably the funniest moment of my time here at the Husker Radio Network.
I met Carla, who is so kind. She sent us multiple Valentino's orders, but that was... You got back and you were like, that was not fun.
That was a crazy
You were
one.
nice about it because you knew, like, kind of an intern here, but I knew that, like, kind of knew how she was, but I could only imagine what people from the outside were looking at you just trying to carry a dog and pizzas across campus. But I appreciate you doing that. I appreciate you taking Sunny, and I appreciate you picking up the pizzas.
That's what they
for
pay
us.
me for, you know. So
that was like a true intern story, I feel like, for you. Sunny's telling you hi, by the way. She's here tonight for your going away party.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so again, we'll have time to get to the joke of the week, I promise. But for those that are listening in, you're staying with the Huskers Radio Network. You're going to be in our like family of networks. You're going to a great partner of ours.
yeah, so I'll be up in Alliance, Nebraska, doing some play-by-play and some sports directing there. I'm really excited. I know with it being affiliated here, I still get to have that connection. So I'm excited to kind of branch out and try some new things, but also kind of have that familiarity with the network.
What are the biggest things that you've learned working here that you'll take with you?
I think, so for my college experience, it was a lot of on-air work, on the microphone, kind of front-facing stuff, but it was really interesting to learn more about behind the scenes and almost the business side of sports and sports radio, because you can't really have one without the other, and they're super intertwined. You really, in this job, you learn on the fly. You learn how to manage a lot of different things that'll happen out of nowhere. So it's been exciting, and you do a lot of different things every single day.
That's great. So some comments on the chat. Jim says they should all give you a 10 because it's your last day, and you don't want that. You want to be graded, or do you want all 10s? Do you want people to be kind to you or like judge you fairly?
If it's honest, then I'll take the 10.
And then Crypto says the C on your hat stands for cool, but you're actually a Cleveland fan, what people don't know. So that's for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So it's a good thing our teams didn't match up. We would have had some knockdown dragouts here on the show. And then Jim also said you have a good radio voice, you'll do well. No, Jake will do very well. He's got big things to come. And what people don't know, you've called a bunch of sports already. So when we were talking about cornhole last night, you've called cornhole actually.
Yeah. I think that was one of the things we talked about in like my first kind of introduction here in the interview. That was something that caught your guys' eye, and I had a blast talking about it.
Okay. All right. You ready? Ready for the joke of the week? So this is your first time doing this. Again, it started, and yes, as someone, I think it was Crypto, pointed out in the chat, Greg Sharp, this was a little bit of his doing. It started out with Cole Hartman, who used to be our producer here, and he kind of said Cole was very dry, said a funny joke, and then somehow it turned into like the segment, and then it's been ongoing. David has graciously given up his time of joke of the week to allow you to take it over here on your last night of the week. Happy going away, joke of the week. Here is
big
Jake
shoes to fill
with joke of the week.
All right, so I've got a scenario for you. I was at the grocery store recently, and once I was done walking around shopping, got to the register, and the worker said, paper or plastic? And I told them I didn't care. You could pick. I don't really care. I'm not really too specific with that. But they told me they couldn't do it. So I'm wondering if you know why they couldn't do it.
Why?
It's because baggers can't be choosers. And I'm holding back the cringe. I'm not a big dad joke guy, but that's what you have to bring to the table for the joke of the week.
I like it. That was very well done. I like it. All right. I thought that was good. Very good. Okay, so I think people know the drill. Send in your rating, your thoughts, your feedback for Jake on his joke of the week on his final night here on the Huskers Radio Network. We'll get to those comments and feedback here on the other side of this on Sports Nightly. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
Huskers fans, let's call a timeout on the court and in life. When the game gets tough, Nebraska stands together as a family, as a team. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. You're part of the Husker family, and every member is valued on and off the court. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Nebraska Lottery.
Hey, I heard Trucks and Bucks is back.
Yes, sir. And this year you could win one of 8 new great trucks. People from around the state just love this game.
They do?
You bet. Just this morning, I got calls from excited players in Burwell, Sutton, Falls City, and Ralston.
Well, you can add Wilbur to the list.
You're from Wilbur?
No, that's my name.
Oh.
Hey, if you get a call from Alma, that's my aunt.
That's her name?
No, that's where she lives.
Trucks and Bucks top prize odds are 1 in 336,000.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule, with your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or give us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Huskers.
Welcome back to our final segment here at Sports Nightly on this Thursday evening. Our final live show in the studio as we know it. We're getting some new digs, so the next time we'll be on the air with you here live, we will be in a brand new studio. But Jake just delivered our joke of the week on his final night here with the Huskers Radio Network, and Art in Los Angeles, as he always does, texts in and participates in this joke of the week every single week. And he said, it took me all this time to figure out how to rank the jokes properly, because he would always give it a letter grade instead of the number. But he said, Jake gets a perfect 9 because it was really funny, but still not a B joke. He's a big fan of B jokes. Let Jake know I'm going to listen to him on the Alliance radio station, GBR.
There we go.
How about
We'd like
that?
to hear that.
All right, and so then on the chat, we have one of our fellow interns here, and it was Camden. Camden said, just had to tune in for Jake's joke. Official rating is a 10 as a former Hy-Vee employee. So 10 from your colleague there. Jim said it was worth a 10. He was going to give you a 10 no matter what. And then Children of the Corn, he is a very, very harsh judger. I will say this. Like, he very rarely gets above a 6, and he gave you a 7.5. So that's almost like a 10. So he said B+, 7.5. That's very high for him. And then Dries gives you a 9 and says best wishes in the new job. And Husker in Hanover also gives you a 10, regardless of the joke. Crypto, you know, he's got a full breakdown. A strong 8.5 for delivery, 9.1 for funny. It made me laugh. And again, perfect 10 because Jake is so cool. Thank you, Jake. You did a great job. You have a great voice, GBR.
Love it. Love it. I'm sensing maybe some slight pity points for a one-and-done showing in the Joke of the Week segment, but we will always take those.
No, it was great. You did a great job. And you've done a great job for us. So thank you for all that you've done. You're like our first intern that's leaving, I guess. Really? I mean, that have, in the way that we've done our intern program over the last few years, you're the first one that's leaving. And so it's like kind of sad, you know? Yeah. But we're happy for you. We knew great things were to come. And so excited for you on this new journey. So congratulations. And thanks for all you've done.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to learn and get better at all this stuff. It's been an awesome experience.
Okay, and again, tell people, do you know like where they can tune in if they want to keep listening to you?
Yeah, so I believe our content will be on the affiliate and alliance KCOW. So, you know, if you're tuning into Sports Nightly or if you're tuning into some Alliance high school sports in the next fall season, chances are you'll be hearing my voice.
I feel like we could probably still employ you as doing the opponent previews.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what my job will fully entail. If there's free time, I don't have any issue with that.
Again, you did a great job and appreciate all that you've done. And thanks for doing the Joke of the Week tonight.
I'm a funny guy.
You are. You're and a big NBA guy. Thoughts on the draft so far? Is Bryce's name going to get called tonight?
I'm hoping so. I've been looking behind me to see if he had gone yet. Not quite.
If his name's getting called, I think we're getting close. If it is, so it seemed like on the mock drafts, if it was around like the early 40s. So we're getting close to that. But
the Cavs have the 49th pick. If they take Bryce Williams, that'll be perfect connection for me.
There you go. That'd be a great night on your last night. Thank you so much again.
Yep.
Congratulations to Jake on everything that is coming for him. Big career for him coming. He's done such a great job for us, and he's a future star here in this business. And again, our final night, I know I've said it a lot, but I just am taking it all in. You know, I'm not a super sentimental person, but this place and this studio has meant a lot to me. I've grown a lot in this place, and so we're sad. I guess I'm a little sad to see it go, but also I'm really excited. We've got a really cool setup that I'm really excited to introduce you guys to the next time that we're on the air live. Coming up July 7th, that will also be Kyle Crook's first day, the new voice of Husker football, so we'll be able to have him on live and maybe answer some live questions from our listeners and viewers. So we're excited about that. But over the next week, we will have some programming, so you can tune in. And so best of shows coming up tomorrow night and over the next week. But we'll be live again back for you here on Sports Nightly coming up July 7th in our brand new studio. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend and a happy 4th of July. We'll talk to you July 7th, Husker Nation.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Sunday morning. You can smell it. Game day. And the brisket you've been smoking since last night. A day to be with family, a.k.a. fellow football fans. Traditions make Sundays easy to enjoy. Beers do too. Bud Light. Easy to Sunday, easy to enjoy. Bud Light is the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus. Copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
Nebraska Lottery.
Hey, I heard Trucks and Bucks is back.
Yes, sir. And this year you could win one of 8 new gray trucks. People from around the state just love this game.
They do?
You bet. Just this morning, I got calls from excited players in Burwell, Sutton, Fall City, and Ralston.
Well, you can add Wilbur to the list.
You're from Wilbur?
No, that's my name.
Oh.
Hey, if you get a call from Alma, that's my aunt.
That's her name?
No, that's where she lives.
Trucks and Bucks top prize odds are 1 in 336,000.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of